Maria Masani. How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, the moment many of you have been waiting for is finally here. My channel is up on YouTube. Many of you know me as an haute couturier. Some of you know me from Miss Universe. Others know me as an affluent mindset coach, relationship coach, and there's more on Wikipedia. So today we're tackling the topic of dressing expensive on a budget, which is one of the most popular fashion topics on fashion YouTube. I watched over a dozen videos on the topic so that you do not have to. And at first I thought, this is going to be so lovely. But instead, oh my gosh, some of the things, oh my, some were so ignorant, so wrong, so racist, and rather amateur. In fact, all the videos that I saw, except for one, were amateur, and only one was from a couturier, and she didn't specialize in luxury. I was horrified at the unintentional racism that I saw, and I thought I'd have to correct all this bullying. I was surprised because a lot of it was outdated colonialist notions on what it means to be elegant. Luxury is custom. What is elegance? Well, etiquette is putting people at ease. Elegance is being easy on the eye by limiting information to the eye, but not limiting it so much that the eye is bored. The first racist thing we have to tackle is under-platform shoes like I wore at Miss Universe. The under-platform enables these shoes to be comfortable so you're not crying in pain. That's not elegant, is it? Is crying in pain elegant? Absolutely not. Now, white women, especially one of them, had a past as a topless dancer, called these Carmen Miranda shoes inelegant. When I've seen billionaires wear them, I've seen quite a few affluent people wear them, including the wife of the CEO of Christian Dior and LVMH Group, Salma Hayek. So these shoes are extremely elegant in the right circumstances, especially for Latina and Asian women who are petite. For petite women, the shoes are very elegant. For me, since I'm just 5'8", it's not elegant to wear off stage. For medium women, 10 centimeters is the maximum for women of my height. Tall women should only wear kitten heels, or that's inelegant. Salma Hayek, the wife of the head of LVMH Group, is 5'2". This is why she wears those shoes. And do not tell me that the woman whose husband owns Dior isn't elegant. I'm sorry, that's just so beyond racist. That is bigotry, because on a short woman, she feels comfortable in those heels that she's not making people bend over. That's just not very fun. Some ladies don't mind. Some ladies feel far more comfortable when they don't feel like a child compared to others in their height. And it's racist and bigoted to call Latina and petite Asian women that they wear stripper heels. The under-platform shoe was invented by the Brazilian dancer, singer and actress Carmen Miranda in the 40s because she was 4'11", and she needed a pair of shoes that would make her feel comfortable when she went to America and the West. She thought that having shoes that would make her feel comfortable, and she would feel that people don't have to break their neck to talk to her, and that is how she invented the Carmen Miranda shoe. She is 4'11", I repeat. And Salma Hayek is 5'2". Salma Hayek is a petite actress. This is excellent on petite women, and this is why you don't listen to amateurs. Amateurs know what works for them. On a Western woman, wearing shoes like this off stage is very vulgar, right? And why should you wear these shoes on stage? Because that way people can see you far back. That's why as designers we pick very tall models on the stage so people can see at the back. I do think one cannot talk about dressing expensive using bad etiquette. The first thing that reveals a cheap person or that someone has a lack of money and a lack of class is a lack of etiquette, because everyone needs cross-cultural etiquette in today's world to survive in international business. So I think that you should not listen to ignorant, frankly quite racist bullies, that shoes that suit you are considered bad because it doesn't suit them. Luxury is custom, and where they are right, on a Caucasian Western woman, a shoe like this on a daily basis off stage looks vulgar. Here is my pro tip. Wear the shoe that's right for you. Remember what I said about etiquette? Right? It's an important part of elegance. So, what is etiquette again? It's putting others at ease, right? That means you wear the shoe that is appropriate to make others comfortable. So, that means if you are petite, feel free to wear any shoe size you like that makes you feel comfortable. Many petite women do not feel comfortable with people breaking their necks talking to them. Therefore, many petite women prefer tall shoes. And here's my tip for tall shoes. Don't wear shoes without the under platform if you're wearing shoes over 4 inches. Trust me, I'm a former model, Miss Universe finalist, and those shoes will make you cry in utter pain. People who insist you wear instruments of torture and violate the Geneva Human Rights Convention are not the sort of people whose opinions you should care about. I'd rather wear my ballet slippers because they have support than wear shoes over 4 inches or over 10 centimeters without the under platform, because crying in pain is not elegant. And the opinion of those who want you to wear instruments of torture doesn't matter in the 21st century. Now, for medium height women, such as myself, right? If you are 5'7", 5'8", and so on, you shouldn't be wearing under platform shoes on social occasions except on a runway, right? Because it's just not very polite. Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle wear Aquazzura. Louboutins are not in fashion now because it's rather vulgar and looks like you're trying too hard. The point of a heel is so it has a feminine movement to it, and a stiletto heel or a thin heel can be a kitten heel, right? Men would like it the same way. So my final advice is for the tall ladies. You should wear kitten heels or even a 1-inch thin stiletto heel. And you can also wear flats rather than make people feel awkward. If you're a tall lady going with your short friend for lunch, then you should wear kitten heels or flats. Wear shoes that make other people feel comfortable around you. And finally, if people are wondering how do you walk in such high heels, they stop being elegant. The next racist misconception by amateurs that upset me was the outdated notion that neutrals are somehow elegant, especially on women of color. No. Have you seen Michelle Obama wearing neutrals most of the time? Absolutely not. How about the Queen of England? Does she walk around wearing neutrals? Absolutely not. My mother was an interpreter for the United Nations and for various Canadian Prime Ministers. So she was instructed to wear neutrals so that the principal or the person she was interpreting for would stand out, right? So that's why the PR girls and the staff of celebrities, or the Queen, or Kate Middleton, Meghan Markle, they will be wearing neutral subdued colours. But VIPs wear bright colours in their season so that people can notice them and talk to them and pick them out of a crowd. VIPs wear both colours and neutrals in their colour season and take colour season consultations, which also come complimentary from ordering haute couture. And that's one of the services that I provide. The next reason why you shouldn't do the outdated thing of wearing neutrals that are not your colour season, aside from them looking cheap because they're not your colour season, is because you could be mistaken for a ghastly, beastly, nasty creature known as the arrivist. The arrivist is a person who went from middle class to upper middle class and can finally afford a ticket at the gala where they can rub shoulders with the actual elite. And there they mistreat the staff, they mistreat students, and they think they're better than anyone except the people at the very top whom they suck up to or try to suck up to. And they go, "I've arrived! Oh, I've arrived! I'm better than you!" These are the awful types of people like this. And they bully and they throw shade and are just absolutely nasty. What's really funny is elites are low-key. So they usually end up kissing up to the lounge wizard. But they think that wearing outdated elite fashion makes them better than others and gives them a right to trash others. And they like to take advantage of elite wherever they can. Elite run away from these awful people. A cardinal rule of being elite is being kind not only to your staff, but other people's staff, and treating everyone with kindness and politesse. Those who are rude to staff are quickly blacklisted among the elite, and elite are traumatized by these people. So I strongly recommend that you do not dress in the outdated fashion, because what they do is they wear fashion from the 30s and 40s that elite used to wear without knowing that fashions do change. What elite wore even in the 90s, elite do not wear now. So what is considered a classic is not always a classic. Consider the Marie Antoinette dress. That is from my fashion show for the Italian Opera under the patronage of the Italian ambassador. I designed that gown and the jewelry for the show, and I put the show together. So, as you can see, that dress was a classic during its time. However, if you wear a Marie Antoinette dress, and even worse with a shipwig, on a first date or for a job interview, you're not going to get the best result. What was once a classic is not always a classic. So elite change. What is a classic? For 3 reasons. The first is political and economic. The second is the technology changes, for example, the invention of color seasons that make things better. And the third is if a lot of undesirables start wearing something, for example, very long nails, or the French manicure, then elite protect themselves by changing their fashion so not to be mistaken for people who could hurt them or hurt their staff. Here's my pro tip. Elite women these days have a color season or color season and body type consultation, which I offer with Almasani Royal House. So, what I offer is to find your color palette, and not only that, I create a color capsule wardrobe. The problem with the average capsule wardrobe is when you have a lot of neutrals, it's not fun and women stop wearing them. I not only pick colors that suit you, but I also ask you, what colors do you emotionally gravitate towards? So among them, we can find a match that both makes you look your best and sparks joy. And from that, we build a color capsule where you have a couple colors that suit you, that are a color, that work together. We pick your best color, and we pick another color as well in a palette, and then we pick other neutrals that together you can mix and match and have an elite wardrobe. So for example, if you have a red leather handbag and matching red shoes with a neutral dress, this is called an accented neutral. With a beige dress, for example, or a grey dress, this can look very chic and much more expensive than beige top to bottom, as one of the amateur YouTubers said, oh, all beige. Actually, elite women would wear accessories in an accent color. So another tip that's free is if you wear one color you like, you can wear a color next to it in your palette. That's called analogous colors. Many women in these videos wonderfully highlighted monochrome, which is lovely, but at some point you may get tired of it. So you can wear colors that are close to each other. For example, I can wear this turquoise with blue. Blue and turquoise, blue and green, red and orange, red and pink. Those are excellent analogous color combinations. Finally, don't wear more than 2 colors when you're going out. There are some stylists who can combine multiple colors, but if you're not a professional, having 2 is enough and will do. My pet peeve number 3. The little black dress is no longer elegant. In fact, if you have it with minimalist jewelry, it is the uniform of waitresses in high-end restaurants in North America. Also, wearing black head to toe does not make you look like a vintage existentialist in the 1950s. It makes you look like the Help. It's really sad that the little black dress now has been so overdone. It's no longer classy by itself, because if everyone is wearing something, it's no longer exclusive, right? If you have it with minimalist jewelry, it is the uniform of waitresses in high-end restaurants in North America. So there are some tips what you can do if you have a little black dress. For example, you can wear big pearls. You can wear bright, actually even cheaply made jewelry to tone down how expensive your dress was. Just statement jewelry with little black dresses make it no longer an arrivist dress or a common dress. And it was a very beautiful thing invented by Coco Chanel originally. And then Audrey Hepburn immortalized it. She looked beautiful and ravishing in it because Audrey Hepburn, let's remember, is a winter color season. And black looks amazing on winter color season. On my husband, it's one of his best colors, so it just really brings him out because he's a winter color season. However, it does not look so elegant on other seasons. Black looks too harsh on a summer and on the autumn color season. And spring, it's just not right. So if you haven't bought one, I suggest get a little navy dress. That looks much better and will suit you. If you happen to be a winter, then of course, why not get the little black dress and change the accessories around it. All black, by the way, will make you be mistaken for the help, because black is a lovely color that doesn't look awful on people. Therefore, it's the ideal color for uniforms, since it's not unflattering on anyone, but it flatters few. Did you notice French first ladies aren't running around in the Audrey Hepburn little black dress? For example, Sarkozy's wife, Carla Bruni, loved wearing fuchsia. Now the wife, who's blonde, of the current president, wears a lot of blue, navy blue and so on as a blonde, and she looks ravishing in it. Luxury is custom, and couture designers will pick what suits you. Here's my pro tip. Don't throw away your little black dress just yet. As I said earlier, wear jewelry. So the etiquette is pearls in the morning, and at 6 o'clock you can wear your bank jewelry. Of course, since Coco Chanel invented accessories that are the mid-range, you know, you do not have to wear pearls. You can even wear cheap synthetic jewelry you can get from H&M that a lot of affluent women pair high with low, not to look very snobby or obnoxious. You can wear also Swarovski. That way everyone will know for sure you're not one of those awful arrivists. And you can wear anything that would break the black. Break the black, and suddenly your little black dress stops looking arrivist and starts looking elegant. Point number 4. French chic is no longer chic. In fact, French women no longer wear it, right? French women wear couture style. You don't see them wearing only neutrals or minimalism or all those things. It has changed, right? So what is French chic? French chic, in fact, is a trauma response to World War I. So there are 3 problems in why it makes you look hideous. The first thing is it makes you look traumatized because it was a trauma response. 2, it is based on looking masculine, so you'll end up looking like Hillary Clinton when you thought you'd look like Audrey Hepburn, but most women end up looking like Hillary. 3rd, it's a very common style that makes you look middle class because it's cookie cutter instead of custom. Remember how many times I said luxury is custom? So if it doesn't suit you and it's not custom, it's no longer luxury. French chic started by Coco Chanel as a trauma response to World War I. Now, Asian countries like Indonesia that did not have a war like World War I do not understand the great trauma, the national trauma of such a war, and just find that there's something off. Why is that person, I don't know, what's off about them? Are they alright? And they might think you're mentally ill when you're not. It's a trauma response. Since World War I, many of the soldiers went there with the propaganda that they have to defend a feminine woman in an honorable quest of knighthood. And with all the weapons, they ended up mangled, torn apart by the machine guns, by the mustard gas and so on. It was absolute horror. No one could imagine. And the shock from that, men really wanted to rebel. And when women started cutting their hair short, dressing like men, looking masculine, rebelling, that was, in a way, a medicine for their trauma, that they could escape from the horrors of that war. They could escape from their parents who led them to death and destruction. And therefore, it's a trauma response, dressing for the boys. For example, Chanel took the sailor outfit for men and made it for women. The navy striped sweater, some think is posh because Kate Middleton wore it, but it's not very attractive, as straight men are not gay. Most of her clothing was borrowing from the boys. In fact, she even has the boy bag. And most women end up looking like Hillary Clinton and look masculine. The commandments also. So the third reason is that they make you look basic, since the fashion journalists at the time, they wanted something cookie cutter. So they thought, okay, if we tell women what not to do, at least they wouldn't look ugly. Because they cannot tell women what to wear, because luxury, again, is custom and everything has to suit the individual person, and a journalist cannot write for every single individual woman in France. She just thinks, okay, French people are mainly from one race in the 30s and 40s and 20s, and they're mainly winter color season, so everything that's not winter color season we'll just consider not elegant, and so on. So, where did this French soccer mom chic come into? The media, right? Why is it everywhere? Well, that's because in the 1920s and 30s, American elite women would take those ships, you know, ones like the Titanic, over to France. Not the Titanic itself, but others over to France, because poor women could not afford to do so, and would learn about the fashions in Paris of that time, and then brought them over to the United States and taught their children that's elegant. Then American elite dressed like that until Dior had his new look. Then French chic had a reappearance in the 90s, after 80s excess had people saying enough. So they went back to the old minimalism and other French chic trends, yes, as a trend, and being retro. But it is not what elite wear today. My pro tip, La Dolce Vita, Italian style, is the new French chic, and that's because we live in a more globalized, multipolar world that is more multicultural, and more cultures can relate to Italian style, which is more fun and fantastic. Finally, for example, the shoe brand I mentioned earlier that Kate Middleton wears, Aquazzura, meaning azure waters, was invented by a Latino and is very popular in Dubai because so many cultures can relate to Dolce Vita style. In addition to Dolce Vita style, elite women have a stylist and develop their own personal style and don't copy influencers. A stylist I work and partner with is Iona, and I will have a link below. So I offer the color capsule, your body type and your color season, and she offers the rest. For example, what luxury handbags might suit you, what patterns suit you, and so on. So together we create a personal style that can last a lifetime. Elite women like to incorporate the personality in their style. As I have said so many times, luxury is custom and what suits you. Minimalism is the fifth outdated thing that is actually somewhat, again, bigoted, because this is not the style Chinese elite wear. nor is it the style that the international business class wears. The business class, and even graphic design, has the trend of the new complexity. Elegance isn't style again. Minimalism was never elegant, and it's not elegant, right? What is elegance? Elegance is reducing information to the eye, to put the eye at ease, but not reducing the information to the point that the eye is bored. Let's look at the example of black and white photography. A child can take a black and white photo, and it can be beautiful at any angle, but for a photo of color to look beautiful in your iPhone, you have to be a professional photographer to make it look elegant. So today, people wear styles that are very interesting and artful, not too much, not too little. Where did minimalism come from? Minimalism came from the 90s and was a reaction to the 80s. 1980s fashion was a reaction to the politics and economics at the time. Politically, Reagan and Thatcher were elected, resulting in Reaganomics and Thatcheronomics, which let many janitors level up and become nouveau riche stockbrokers. And they had insane tastes, supermodels, cocaine parties, the crazier the better, as far as they would notice. Also at the time you had the Cold War, and the West wanted to show that they were better than the Soviet Union, where there were always shortages of toilet paper, and Americans wanted the Soviet Union to collapse by showing Soviets that they were richer, more colorful and brighter, with neons and big, poofy, awful 80s hair. At that time, more was more. But actually more is not more, and less is a bore. And the reaction in the 90s, where at one point people got tired and the wealth changed. So with the election of the Clintons, there wasn't janitors becoming nouveau riche all of a sudden. Instead, it was more educated .com money. So Calvin Klein seized the opportunity and resurrected the old French chic, minimalism, neutrals as a reaction to the 80s. He did everything that was anti-excess, and people loved it. It was fresh. Then Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. Calvin Klein took advantage of the changing times and the shifting tastes of the elite, who were tired with their eyes burned from 80s neons. And it was a fashion. See, minimalism is a fad, because you reduce so much information to the eye, it would normally be bored. However, it's a lovely reaction to people who are tired of excess. After that, one of Calvin Klein's executives, Carolyn Bessette, married JF Kennedy Jr. And thus, in the world of the elite, that made people take note of Calvin Klein's style. Calvin Klein was important, as around the world, China had not, in the 90s, been a great manufacturing center yet. The Soviet Union had collapsed. It was a unipolar world, where the world looked up to America as a political and economic power. So in order to please the Bill Clintons or to please American corporations, businessmen around the world understood that they had to copy the Kennedys, and then business will be easier with the Americans that they wanted to do business with. Today, instead, Americans are courting the Chinese. Minimalism will actually hurt you abroad. A friend of mine came back from China crying. She was initially mistaken for the help when she thought she was wearing minimalist chic, and for a gala, the greatest insult, to add insult to injury, people asked her if she lost her luggage, and she said no. He said, so why are you in your pajamas? So she thought that wearing chandelier earrings with a silk slip dress in navy was elegant, but in fact everyone else was in Elie Saab and Michael Cinco beaded, Swarovski sequins. In the rest of the world, the new money is the new old money. Most money right now is new money from emerging economies. People have worked hard to level up and they want to enjoy leveling up, but not go over the top. My pro tip: no one cares about the Kennedys anymore. We live in a multipolar world where China and other emerging economies are the new boss. So, therefore, the fashion has changed. The Dolce Vita and elegance is the new chic. Wear what suits you and what makes you happy and enjoy life. In conclusion, your host is the new Kennedy. And instead of minimalism, you wear what suits you, what's elegant. What is elegant? Aristotle said virtue lies between two vices, and vices are usually a good thing taken too far. So elegance is not going maximalist and not going minimalist. Elegance is having champagne, but not having so much champagne and going overboard that you have a nasty hangover the next day. Pet peeve number 6, amateurs. My problem with overconfident amateurs is they act like they know it all and they even trash other women, when really amateurs only know what suits them, and that's some of the time, right? For example, there was this really mean amateur who said that small floral patterns that were black with red flowers that I see a lot of in Nordstrom were not classy. Excuse me. Those patterns are classy for petite Asian women, but no, on a large blonde Swede, they would look absolutely unclassy, right? So that's the problem, getting advice from an amateur instead of a professional stylist. For example, to participate in Miss Universe and do well, I took makeup lessons for makeup artists and I did some work backstage as well. So when I was working backstage and I was working for photo shoots and so on, when the makeup artist I was apprenticing under, they told me to put a little bit of makeup on the blonde, and I thought that was nothing, I'll put more, and all of a sudden a little bit more and she looked like a raccoon. Whoops, I had to redo it. And on a black model, the recommended amount of makeup, I thought, that's too much, I put less and you couldn't see a thing. So different models from different races, different amounts of makeup work. So you cannot say something is classy because it works on you, but it's not classy if it doesn't work on you. Absolutely not. And sadly, amateurs give this advice, which really comes across as frankly racist. You know, that's not right. What suits you will not suit someone else, right? If I said anything that's not turquoise is inelegant, you know, many people would end up looking sick. Turquoise is not a color that suits everyone, but certainly it suits me. You should love yourself and stop listening to the advice of amateurs. Do you trust an amateur to do brain surgery on you? No, right? You love yourself too much, right? To trust an amateur with your health. Well, your career is determined by how you dress, because only 7% of your first impression, according to studies, is the words you use. Most of it is how you dress, your deportment, your posture, your tone of voice, and of course how you dress affects if a man will spoil you and the type of man you will get, right? Because if you don't look accustomed to being spoiled, men will invest less in you and therefore are less likely to commit. That's why it's important to dress for success personally and professionally. That's why it's important to dress elegantly and expensively, as well as in a feminine way, on a date. So why would you trust this to amateurs? It's like in Russia we had this terrible example. Somebody brought their computer completely fried because they thought, oh, they're amateur. Boris, the 13-year-old, he could fix it. And instead of, the Arctic thermal paste MX4, he put toothpaste. And he put it right on the Pentium processor thing, and he put toothpaste instead of thermal paste, and it was a complete disaster. So imagine that is what you do when you have amateurs. Determine your personal style. Save some money and hire a stylist, and you will change your life. My pro tip: love yourself. Spoil yourself and invest in yourself. Because if you do not spoil and invest in yourself, how dare you expect others to do for you what you do not do for yourself? Number 7. Thank you, ladies, for your lovely company, for sticking with me thus far. So my pet peeve, number 7, is dress expensive and cheap clothes. And the answer is no. However, some of the YouTubers recommended going to a second-hand store, and I think that is correct. Second-hand store and tailoring your clothes from there, because people know it's from Shien. I'm sorry, but they do. You can ask a man and he will know if it's $10 or $15 dress. You cannot wear a $10 or $15 dress and expect it to pass as a $10,000 garment, right? But the good news is you don't have to spend $10,000 on a garment to make it look like a $10,000 or $50,000 garment, right? And as a designer, in future videos, I'll show you different things to show you why. Some clothing look more expensive than others. There is a science and an art and quite a few tricks, tips and hacks. Yet, there is no way you can make something for $10 or $15 look like the clothing of a millionaire. It's seen right away. Now, another tricky thing is H&M and fast fashion. Kate Middleton sometimes wears H&M, I'm told, therefore it must be elegant. No. The problem with Duchess Catherine Cambridge, or Kate Middleton, is that her stylist and her PR team pick things to make her look accessible. And the H&M clothing does not last. I will show you an example of a couture garment I had for years, and an H&M dress that looked like pure silk, but after a couple washes it was pumpkin polyester. And what I refer to as pumpkin polyester is a fast fashion fabric that they wear, and after a couple washes, what used to look like silk looks like the cheap fabric it came from, right? Very much like the fairy godmother turned Cinderella's pumpkin into a carriage, and then the clock struck midnight and the carriage turned back into the pumpkin that it was. The problem with fast fashion is that after a few washes, H&M and Zara look like H&M and Zara. The roses I have is a beautiful pure silk fabric, and this is my H&M dress after 2 washes. As you can see here, they look very, very different, right? The fabrics couldn't be more different after 2 washes. However, when I first got this, they used to look identical in terms of fabric. This is why you buy couture. This is a couture garment I've had for ages. From Richard Robinson, as you can see, the seams is couture. Why would men know how much your garment cost? There is one shocking reason why. When I found out this shocking thing, it changed my life and changed how I thought about fashion. This shocking revelation is the following. Straight men are not gay. I'm serious, they're not. It is true. So, what does that mean? It means they don't care who the hell Kim Kardashian is. Straight men don't care about movie stars and so on. That's why when you wear a cheap copy of what another influencer wore, men don't know the influencer. They're just wondering why he wore this cheap outfit, right? How else do straight men know, aside from not following influencers, how much your outfit cost? Well, all straight men, rich or poor, own one expensive couture garment. Most spend 2,000 on this couture garment. Guess what this garment is? Their suit. Men save for a few years to get their couture garment because they do not leave their first impression to chance alone. Unlike ladies who sit there and shop as a hobby and buy a lot of cheap stuff. No, men have discipline and they save to get the one classic garment, right? Men don't care about trends, and neither do elite women. So men care about the first impression they get a suit to graduate in, to get their first job, to get married and buried in, and they leave nothing to chance. Elite women also leave nothing to chance. Since there are more clothing options for women, elite women hire a stylist. Again, elite men and women know there is no second chance for the first impression, and that impression is for life. So they invest in one good garment in the beginning, and they know they can't deceive people since couture garments are constructed differently. So how are they constructed differently? Well, cheap garments use a lot of stretch, since therefore you need fewer garments and can save a lot of money. Factories save on making fewer sizes if they add stretch. Now, what is the problem with stretch? Stretch emphasizes your liabilities, right? And hides your assets. Why would you want to wear that, right? So, instead of wearing stretch, couture highlights what makes me look good. And it dims the light on what is not so positive about me, right? All of us have assets and liabilities no matter our figure, right? And couture is meant to make you look like the best version of you. Here is an example of a couture garment, and these are Shanghai seams. Now, did you know? Elite men and women used to wear corsets. In fact, the Lord Byron corset used to be popular. The problem was that the men's corset was not exactly practical in battle, so they went to their Savile Row tailors and asked for a solution that didn't involve corsetry, and the tailors came up with interfacing in the modern suit that can hide a man's, let's call it a dad bod, shall we? You know, that. In a suit from Savile Row will be completely covered, and he would look rather ravishing like an athlete in his suit until he opens the buttons and reveals the truth about his figure, much like when a lady takes off her corset. Elite clothing is not there to be snobby, but to have the best cost per wear of having a garment that is constructed beautifully, that also makes you look your best. If you invest in yourself, others will invest in you. And that's why it's important to dress elegantly. In the parliament, I overheard conversations of frustration that people wanted to promote some young ladies, but they were dressed terribly. They were dressed rather cheaply, with cheap clothes, with lots of stretch, clearly polyester, and they thought they were chic because the pattern was similar. Someone who was perhaps fabulous or whatever, but it was, you could see the stretch. They were saying the polyester, the cheap fabric, the pilling, and they said these ladies don't know that they look cheap and we could not afford to promote them as the face of our delegation. And it's very easy to promote boys. They all know how to dress, they all know how to have a proper suit, right? And when boys buy a suit, they know to get it in a natural fabric that lasts. See? If you get things in a natural fiber, they look more expensive. And that's why clothing looks expensive. As natural fiber, like the pure silk I'm wearing, does not contain stretch. So it's constructed differently to shape your body exactly in a way a stretch fabric never will. And thus, the ladies at the parliament had a hard time being promoted, and people were saying, oh, how do we tell them this, right? Because nobody wants to be falsely accused of sexual harassment and so on. So this really does hurt your chances. Finally, as one millionaire said, I'm rich, but I'm not rich enough to wear cheap clothes. And this is my final pro tip. So, you do not have to wear things that are Chanel or Dior to look like you do. You can wear a mid-range designer, a design student in your hometown. There are quite a few options. For example, Karl Lagerfeld's range has the same, if not better, quality than Chanel. And for Chanel, you're paying for the label. You can also get clothing of natural fiber, constructed artfully, that suits you, and get it tailored, that you bought second-hand. So there are a lot of options if you invest in quality. And finally, stop shopping as a hobby. Enough is enough. Think of all the garments you buy fast fashion. Now, what if you stopped buying trends? And each time you thought of buying some cute thing, you put the money in a savings account. After half a year, you would be shocked what beautiful, elegant garment you can buy. And I would start your wardrobe with either a pencil dress, fit and flare dress. Start with one elegant dress and build from there. I would like to conclude with positive things I liked in all those videos. First of all, I liked the idea of dressing modestly. That's absolutely true. Elite do dress modestly as legacy strategists. My next video will be about relationships and which sort of men marry and invest, build a legacy, and which are just silly players. Edith Head, the stylist behind Audrey Hepburn and Grace Kelly's Old Hollywood Glamour, said you should dress with clothing tight enough to show you're a woman and loose enough to show that you're a lady. The other tips that I liked were having a monochrome outfit. However, you might get tired of it, so to summarize, I did recommend that you wear neutrals with an accent color, or you wear adjacent colors. There are so many other color combinations that I can show you in the upcoming videos, and also I do color consultation and a color capsule wardrobe. I also liked recommending getting your clothing tailored and getting things second-hand. If you must buy fast fashion, I recommend getting it in darker colors so people will not see how your clothing falls apart, so you can have it longer before the cheap fabric becomes too obvious. And also you can change cheap buttons for couture buttons, and then it can look less Zara-ish. I go to Daryl Thomas. You can Google Daryl Thomas and I order my buttons from there for my actual couture. My conclusion is, from these videos and what's wrong with them, do not let amateurs bully you and say how you dress is not classy if it suits you. Luxury is custom and luxury is what suits you. Do not let arrivists and other bullies bully you. Do not let yourself be bullied by people who don't have a degree or experience. Don't take the bullying personally. Get a stylist, develop your own personal style, invest in quality, invest in well-constructed natural garments, enjoy your life, and be happy. Invest in yourself if you want others to invest in you. Now that you heard the 7 things you shouldn't be doing, follow, like, and subscribe to hear what you should do from a couturier, professional advice on how to dress expensive and how to improve your life in every direction. If an arrivist ever bullied you or anyone bullied you for wearing what suits you, please comment so that you know you are not alone. I'm there for you, and I'm sure other ladies will be there for you, and I want to create a supportive environment. And continue following me for videos how to improve your life by dressing for success and being a success. Ciao!